Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Half-Life podcast video. Wow, I haven't touched one of these in a good number of years. In fact, the last one that I did was a little over 4 years ago, and that was just a special edition. The regular videos I've actually haven't even looked at for nearly 5 years. The main reason for it is because YouTube just seems to have some strange glitch when it comes to these videos. It seems to put them as either 18 plus or something else. I have no idea why, but I've been able to fix some of the issues. So let's see. Let's see if this works. In this case, this is going to be another enemy, once again found in the first Half-Life game, and it's a big one. It's one of the big bosses from the game itself, one of the hardest ones as well. So if you haven't seen my playlist, basically I'll talk about the creature itself, showcase how to defeat it, give some trivia, maybe some behind the scenes stuff, give my own thoughts and opinions on it too. But you're looking at it now, anyone who played Half-Life 1 knows exactly what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning how hard and difficult this villain was. It goes by the name of Gonarch. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that here, and then I'd love to hear what your own thoughts and opinions are on it too. Let me tell you exactly what I thought when I first saw this creature back when I was playing Half-Life all those years ago. I was looking at it like, what the F? You know exactly what it looks like, right? Whenever you see it swinging about, let's say in the video game, and there's more on that here in a minute when it comes to the trivia, and that's on purpose, basically. But luckily, the Gonarch is just encountered once within the entire game. In fact, it's considered a boss battle, and it's in one of the last chapters of the game, specifically in the one titled Gonarch's Lair. It's one of those things where you land all of a sudden there in Zen, and then there it is, and it starts attacking immediately. When I say that this is one of the most difficult bosses out there is no exaggeration. The level that it's given when it comes to the number of hits it can take until it's finally taken down is amazing. Like, it is absolutely one of the highest ones, maybe even the highest ones in the entire game. Actually, it's even higher than the Gargantua itself. It takes more explosive damage to kill this creature than it does the other big baddie when it comes to the Gargantua. And then this creature, once it's found, again, it starts immediately attacking. You can see that when it comes to its legs, it uses it in a very purposeful manner. Its immediate attack is to start charging straight at whatever it considers an enemy, and anyone that goes into its vicinity, into its lair, is automatically an enemy. I kind of like that because the idea was it was playing off of nature. If you have a creature like this, and it's considered more along the lines of a Momma, here you have it protecting all of a sudden all the other little Gonarchs that it has around, and it wants to make sure anything that goes within its vicinity is immediately attacked. No ifs, ands, or buts. But its attack can come through various things. Number one is, again, charging straight at the victim, in this case Gordon Freeman, and then using those massive, gigantic legs. This is a creature that absolutely dwarfs you within the game, to start attacking it in a puncturing manner. So in other words, it's using it almost as a knife when it comes to those gigantic legs, each one just thrusting forward as quickly as possible and then causing a great deal of damage if they happen to hit you. And so the next thought is, well, let's just run away, right? Well, if the Gonarch isn't coming at you afterward, like in other words, following you, that was one of the scariest things too with regards to the AI for this creature. It follows you. It absolutely makes sure that it is kicking you out of that entire place or killing you altogether, no matter what. And so if you happen to be further away from it and you think that you're safe, you've got another surprise coming, because it uses something in the form of some kind of acidic material, like it's almost like a yellowish greenish ball that it throws up into the air, almost like a mortar is how it was described. And then it basically lands down on the person just like a missile would. And it uses it to a very strategic advantage. It can coordinate its aerial attack to hit you exactly where you're standing, unless, of course, you have to move. And the whole idea is that it's trying to sometimes move you to an area where you're trapped, and then it can continue with its damage on there too. But if you thought that that was it, then think again. Another attack that it has is its own kin. It apparently is a Big Mama. In fact, its enemy name within the game itself, I guess the coding on there is monster underscore Big Mama. And this is because that gigantic sack that you see on there that looks like something else, it's a reproductive housing unit. Within it, there seems to be an almost infinite number of baby head crabs. These are those tiny head crabs that pop out of it, and then they look so small. They look like miniature junior little head crabs that you encountered throughout the rest of the game. These are, though, the infant versions. They are so small they are very hard to hit. They start attacking rapidly. They start again running straight at Gordon Freeman. And then when that happens, you're either going to run away because you're going to have a large number of these things creating some damage, not individually, like in other words, each one individually is not a large amount of damage, but together as a unit. And then on top of that, this Big Mama, this Gonarch attacking, that's when you're going to have to start thinking elsewhere, like start fighting in a more strategic manner. So Big Mama, Miss Gonarch, she essentially shoots these things straight at you, or they start crawling straight at you as well. And there is, again, no limit to them. That ties into another interesting bit of trivia associated with the Gonarch. It is the final version of what a head crab would be if it was fully developed. So you see the baby head crabs emerge from Gonarch, and then in earlier parts of the game, you see the more mature head crabs, the ones that jump on people's faces and then start converting them into those zombies. This Gonarch is the very final stage. Like, it's unknown exactly how long it takes, but the life cycle of this Gonarch is the final phase. It'll grow up. Every single of these little head crabs that you saw throughout the game, every single one of them, if they are left as is and they grow up to be the final phase, that's it. They're going to be, each one of these, a Gonarch. I kind of like that theory too, because it also, again, borrows from nature. It's the idea that you have so many things, like in other words, animals born within each set of hatchlings, only for most of them to die out. Most of them will be killed, or something else will happen to them and they die out on their own. And then finally, just a very few of them end up becoming the final stage. And then that's it. Like, you can look at any life of the turtles. You know how there's a big batch of turtles that are born from a mama turtle. Well, eventually, most of them will completely die out. They'll just be killed or something else will happen. But when they get to the final stage, let's say they reach many, many years of age, they grow up to be a very large turtle. And that's essentially what you have here with this Gonarch. So it's interesting to see this creature, and again ties into nature because there's only one of them, which shows just how vicious the area there in Zen is, because all those millions of head crabs that this Gonarch can produce, and only one of them will reach its final stage. It shows just how brutal that world is, how the life expectancy of these creatures is practically to nil. And so what happens later is, finally, when you cause enough damage to this creature, you just keep shooting at it and then make sure that you throw enough bombs and so on. It goes into some predisposed notions where it starts running towards another location, and then that's when you go towards it as well and then start shooting at it. Eventually, you can actually cause enough damage on its own if you have enough supplies of ammunition that you could cause it to blow up. It'll reach its limits when it comes to the life that it has within the game and within the AI. But the other part is, when you get to a certain part in the game, then that's when it causes it to be blown up on its own. And then that's it. That's the history associated with the Gonarch, and then how it looks and how it acts. One big bad mama there to protect its entire environment, and it'll use its own kin to do so. It doesn't care about really its life. It'll charge straight at you no matter what you're shooting at it. And it has multiple attacks, including both aerial, frontal, and then finally its own head crab as well. Now, as far as the creature itself, some behind the scenes stuff, I already mentioned earlier that the name associated with it was coded as monster underscore Big Mama. Apparently, there was a lot of problems with the design of this creature. This is because Gabe Newell eventually decided at one point in the game, why don't we just, this was his exact quote, why don't we just put a giant testicle on a 20-foot tall armored spider, and thus the Gonarch was born. This caused some issues though, because some people thought within the game developers, hey, this is a little risque, right? It looks like a testicle. People are going to see it and they're going to think that. What about the people that are trying to buy it, or some other type of game board, like people that review the games that put something as far as labels on them? What's going to happen, right? It looks like nothing else but a giant gnat. And so in that case, it was finally overruled, and Gabe decided to keep it there, and it became no doubt a higher elevated level when it came to its boss status. I think it made it far more memorable. The shocking design associated with it, like it would have been something if there was a time back then where people could react. YouTube, let's say, existed at that time, and people could react when they first saw this Gonarch. They would have thought, what the F, just like I did as well. I think that's the shocking status that made it far more, have a far more lasting impact than any of the other creatures. And then obviously the big design, and then the way it attacks, the charging, the fierceness of it was just another thing as well too. Like it definitely had a memorable experience all around. And then if you're wondering if it was ever going to be set up associated with like another game, apparently it was. In the early stages of Half-Life 2, as you're looking at here, a Gonarch was going to make almost like a cameo appearance, but just the sack, just the actual sack itself. It was going to be at an area there in Ravenholm, and it was going to be at a location called the Combine Big Momma Pod, and it looks like there that the Combine was going to be using this creature to essentially get all of its head crabs from, in a really insidious way. Like it was going to be imprisoned, it was going to be kept alive, probably on just the barest of nutrients, enough to make sure again that it's alive, but you don't want it to have enough strength to be fiercely protective and be able to escape, that kind of stuff. But either way, though, if it was truly going to be in the game, it would have been interesting to see how it would have reacted to Gordon Freeman again. But otherwise, it was left out. It would have been one of those interesting things to see within the game, and a good throwback to the original game as well. But let me know what you guys think as far as this very memorable boss, Big Momma herself, the Gonarch. Let me know what your thoughts and comments are on there too. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.